September 1st, 2024 marks the 110th anniversary of Martha's death, also signifying the extinction of the passenger pigeon as a whole. In honor of her memory, I want to dedicate this video to her. Initially, I planned to make a video about passenger pigeons' facts in general, but since they're probably one of the most documented of the recently extinct creatures that I know of, it would probably take well over an hour to cover every single detail. So this one is just about Martha and her story. So, unlike her death, Martha's origins and how she came to the Cincinnati Zoo are a lot more complicated and unclear. The most widely accepted story was that she was part of a captive flock owned and raised by Professor Otis Whitman from the University of Chicago and was given to the zoo along with a few other individual birds in 1902 in hopes of breeding. Another source claims that she was born at the zoo. Several different conflicting stories. There are also conflicting dates given for her birth, but the most widely accepted time is around 1885, since the most accepted age that you will find that she was at the time of death was 29. Anyway, no matter what the truth is of how, where, or when Martha was born, she was absolutely a captive bird in the beginning, raised in the Cincinnati Zoo, starting in the late 1800s or early 1900s. And she was named Martha after the First Lady Martha Washington, wife of George Washington. According to an interview of the late Richard Fluke conducted in the 1980s, who used to visit Martha during the summers of his childhood, reported Martha as a great bird. She was very docile, she was very easy to handle. If you were with her very much and talked to her in the right sort of language, soft and easy, she got to know you. It was also said that she would eat peanuts straight from the hand and showed no fear. So she was a very, very sweet bird. Several years before she died, Martha sadly suffered an apoplectic stroke that she never fully recovered from. Weakened, the zoo provided her with a lower roost to climb since she could no longer flutter up to reach her old one. Of course, the zoo tried many times to get Martha to breed with the other male passenger pigeons in her enclosure, but all the eggs she produced would end up being infertile. And, well, the urgency to breed her spiked tenfold once they all died out, one by one, the last one dying in July 1910, I believe. And by that point, she had become pretty much a celebrity at the zoo, quite literally one of a kind creature. And at the zoo, as well as in the newspapers, there was a notice promising a $1,000 reward, a little over $30,000 in today's money, for the person who could provide a mate for Martha. Alas, no one would claim this reward. Finally, around 1 p.m. on September 1st, 1914, Martha was found lying on the ground of her enclosure, deceased. She was said to be around 29 years old, as stated earlier, which is ancient, even by pigeon standards, whose lifespans are typically around 15-20 years. We don't know for sure if she was 29. She was more likely to be around 17-ish, but 17-29, that's how old she was, the range. Anyway, shortly thereafter, she was shipped to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. in a 300-pound block of ice by train, where she was later taxidermied. She died during a molt, so some of the feathers had come off of her and needed to be pieced together. However, I think her likeness was captured excellently by the people who worked on her. Ever since, she has been on and off displayed at the National Museum of Natural History. Back at the Cincinnati Zoo, a memorial recreated from the old aviary she used to live in. It is now a National Historic Landmark with a statue outside, a plaque, and several educational posters and whatnot inside. You'd think that they would, I don't know, keep Martha's body in the place where she lived and died, but museums are museums, I guess. So, there you have it. The story of Martha the passenger pigeon, at least in broad general terms. I tried to explain as much as I could, but I'm sure there's more to explain, to share, but there will be plenty more opportunities for that later. Hey, maybe if you know something that I didn't mention, then you can feel free to comment on it. And, yeah, maybe I'll upload a deep dive on passenger pigeons in the future. There's also plenty of documentaries out there for you to watch. I highly recommend Billions to None. It's free on YouTube and very easy to find. It is a great watch. I can link that in the description below. And yeah, I hope you learned something new today, and I hope that you can appreciate Martha the passenger pigeon as much as I do.